usually, when we picture language learning, we tend to imagine this like perfectly sterile, controlled environment, a laboratory, basically.
Right, like an entirely closed ecosystem.
Exactly. You've got your flashcards, the teacher points to a whiteboard, and you just you calmly repeat the phrases in this safe, predictable rhythm.
Where the rules just stay quietly on the page.
Yeah. But then you step out into the real world, say, I don't know, a bustling, noisy coffee shop on a Tuesday morning, and suddenly that textbook just vaporizes.
Gone. Completely gone.
It is. You are standing in a linguistic landscape that is essentially a battlefield of nerves, caffeine, and social pressure. And today, we are going straight to the front lines of that battlefield.
Yes, we are.
We're looking at a brilliant, highly relatable piece of source material called The Coffee Shop Disaster. It chronicles a completely disastrous morning experience by a guy named Jack, who, honestly, he just wanted to order a latte and ended up questioning his entire existence.
Which is, the absolute best way to understand the underlying mechanics of language.
Right.
You don't learn how a car works when it's driving perfectly down the highway.
Right, no.
You learn how it works when the engine completely spectacularly falls apart under pressure. When the system breaks down, that's when you get to see all the gears and wires inside.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if you are an adult learning a language, you already know the basic rules. You don't need us to sit here and recite conjugation tables to you.
Definitely not.
Our mission today for this deep dive is to look at the psychological tripwires of the simple present tense. We really want to figure out why intelligent people suddenly lose all ability to communicate when a barista asks them what they want.
It is a phenomenal psychological study, really.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand why Jack's morning derails so aggressively, we first have to kind of reframe how we think about the simple present tense itself.
How so?
Well, it suffers from a terrible PR problem. People think it's just this basic, vanilla tense because it's usually the very first thing you learn.
Right, but according to our source material, that basic label completely underestimates the heavy lifting this tense is doing every single second of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
If we look at its actual functions, it's basically establishing our baseline reality.
You have three main jobs, right?
Right. It handles our daily habits, the routines that define our schedules, like, drinking coffee every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It handles universally agreed upon facts, like water boiling at 100 degrees, or the sun rising in the east.
And it handles our core personal preferences, too. The things that make you who you are, like loving pizza or hating Mondays. What's fascinating here is that you aren't just communicating isolated facts, you are constructing a shared universe with the person you're talking to.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so when you tell a barista, I want a coffee, you are using the simple present to assert a fundamental truth about your current reality.
Which makes me think of it less as a grammar rule and more like the operating system of a smartphone.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. It's running quietly in the background, managing all the baseline functions, just framing our entire reality. You never sit around marveling at your phone's operating system when you're using a flashy new app. But, if the OS crashes, the whole phone is basically a brick.
That's a perfect analogy. And because it forms the absolute bedrock of our daily existence, errors in this tense are incredibly jarring to native speakers.
Jarring how, exactly?
Well, it doesn't just sound like a grammar mistake. On a subconscious level, because this tense dictates facts and reality, a mistake in the simple present sounds like a glitch in reality itself.
Okay, I have to push back on that a little bit. Is it really that deep? If someone drops a verb conjugation in a busy cafe, does the barista really think reality is glitching? Don't they just think, oh, hey, this guy's first language isn't English, and hand him his change?
Well, consciously, yes, they know you're a learner. But we are talking about the subconscious processing of language here. As native speakers, we don't really hear grammar. We hear meaning. So if the meaning is structurally flawed at the foundational level of who is doing what, the listener's brain has to momentarily stop and recalculate the physics of the sentence.
Ah, I see.
That micropause, that tiny moment of confusion, is the glitch. And as a language learner, that look of confusion from the native speaker is terrifying. It spikes your anxiety immediately.
A spike in anxiety, which honestly perfectly sets the stage for Jack's disaster. If this tense is the literal operating system of our reality, how on earth did Jack manage to crash it so spectacularly?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into the inciting incident of our story. So Jack walks into his favorite coffee shop. He is already sweating a little bit because, as the source notes, the barista is very pretty.
High stress environment.
Very high stress. He steps up to the counter. The barista smiles and asks a flawless, simple present question. What do you want today?
A completely standard interaction. The baseline reality is stable.
Stable, yeah, until Jack opens his mouth. Jack wants to sound smooth. He wants to impress this pretty barista. So he puffs up his chest and proudly replies, I want a large latte, please.
Oh no, the fatal S.
The fatal S, I want, and the barista just stops. The shared reality glitches. She blinks slowly, looks at him and replies, you want.
That slow blink is exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Her brain had to hit pause and recalculate.
But let's analyze the psychology of our Romeo here, because this is what drives language learners completely crazy. You and I both know the rule.
Right.
Every listener knows the rule. English is incredibly elegant because it drops the verb conjugation for almost everything. For I, you, we, they, you literally do nothing to the base verb.
I work, they play, we study.
Exactly. The only time you ever change it is for he, she, or it. The third person singular gets the S. He works. It rains. So if the rule for I is to literally do nothing, why do adult intelligent learners constantly want to throw an S where it definitively doesn't belong?
It comes down to cognitive load and how our brains process explicit rules under acute stress.
Cognitive load.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Jack steps up to that counter, his prefrontal cortex is suddenly handling a massive amount of data.
He's not just ordering a beverage.
No, he's trying to appear confident, he's navigating a high-stakes social interaction with someone he finds attractive, and on top of all that, he's actively processing a second language.
So his brain is basically running way too many heavy applications at once, and the battery is draining fast.
Precisely. And when the brain is panicked and overloaded, it reaches for the most explicitly learned rule it is stored in its active memory.
Oh, interesting.
For English learners, the instruction to add an S to the verb is drilled into their heads over and over again because it's really the only real variation in the tense.
Right, because everything else is just the base verb.
Exactly. It requires active effort to remember the S. So under pressure, the brain associates effort with correctness.
Wait, that is wild. Because it takes effort to remember the S, the brain assumes that using it makes the sentence, more correct.
Yes. The brain thinks, I am stressed, I need to sound smart, I need to use the special grammar rule I worked so hard to memorize, I need to add an S.
Oh, man.
It's an over-application of the rule born entirely of anxiety.
It's like oversteering a car when you hit a patch of ice. You feel the car slipping, your panic spikes, and you know you're supposed to do something with the steering wheel.
Right, you have to react.
So you yank it way too hard, and you end up spinning completely out of control into a snowbank. Jack yanked the grammar wheel.
He absolutely spun out. And the truly fascinating part of human psychology is what he does next.
Because instead of just accepting the barista's correction, instead of just saying, oh, sorry, I want a latte, Jack's ego takes over.
It does.
His embarrassment causes him to double down. And this spiraling chaos perfectly demonstrates how we navigate questions and negatives in this tense.
It is a masterclass in digging a deeper hole to hide in.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To recover from his I wants mistake, Jack turns into this improv comedian who absolutely refuses to break character.
He commits to the bit.
He really does. He is on stage, the scene is dying, but he commits. He literally points at the empty air next to him and invents a fake companion to justify his grammar mistake.
He says, yes, I want a latte. And she likes oat milk.
Just brilliant.
Notice the linguistic gymnastics there, though.
Yeah.
He instantly corrects his I want to establish his own baseline, and then perfectly applies the third-person S to his imaginary friend. She likes.
It's brilliantly unhinged, but the barista is looking around an entirely empty coffee shop. She is staring at empty air, and she asks, very slowly and carefully, does your friend want something else?
Which is the critical mechanism of the simple present question.
Exactly. And Jack, fully committed to his ghost friend, replies, no, she doesn't. She doesn't eat here. Let's look at the mechanics of what just happened in that exchange, because Jack just flawlessly navigated the trickiest part of the operating system.
He did. When you form a question or a negative statement in this tense, you have to bring in helper words. You bring in do or does.
Right. So, do you like tea?
Or does she work here? Exactly. The barista's third-person question was perfect. But the mechanical secret here, the thing that trips up so many learners, is that the helper word literally steals the S from the main verb.
It acts like a magnet.
A grammatical magnet, yes. You don't say does she wants. That's a double conjugation.
Yeah, that sounds so wrong.
The helper verb does absorbs the S, leaving the main verb completely bare. Does she want?
And the same exact thing happens with the negatives. You use do not or does not. Jack doesn't say she not eats here.
No, he doesn't.
He brings in the helper word does, pairs it with not to create doesn't, and that helper steals the S, so he lands perfectly on she doesn't eat here.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a profound irony about language acquisition and cognitive load.
What's that?
Well, think about Jack's situation. His grammar for ordering his own coffee was a disaster. But his grammar for a person who literally does not exist is completely 100% flawless.
Yeah, why is that? Why can he flawlessly execute, does your friend want, and she doesn't eat here for a ghost, but he can't say I want for himself?
Because the cognitive load of self-presentation has been removed. When he was ordering for himself, he was crippled by the social pressure of looking cool in front of the barista. But once he invented the imaginary friend, the psychological pressure shifted.
He wasn't thinking about his own identity anymore.
Exactly. He was just focused on maintaining this elaborate, ridiculous fiction. Without the anxiety of self-judgment, his brain was able to access the grammar rules perfectly.
That makes so much sense.
It proves that the knowledge is firmly locked in his brain. The foundation is rock solid. It's only his ego that causes the glitch.
So his brain couldn't handle ordering a latte, but it could construct an entirely grammatically correct reality for an invisible woman who prefers dairy alternatives.
That is a stunning testament to what the human brain does under duress.
It's an incredible defense mechanism. But unfortunately for Jack, the psychological defense mechanism doesn't stop the physical reality of what happens next.
No, the inevitable conclusion to a morning built on panic.
Right. Because Jack has finally nailed the grammar, but the physical disaster is about to strike. This brings us to the climax of our source material story, and it introduces some crucial vocabulary and real-world survival tactics.
Yeah, for when things go irrevocably wrong.
So Jack, after successfully defending the dietary habits of his invisible friend, reaches across the counter for his coffee. He misjudges the distance, his hand shakes, and he knocks the entire cup over.
Oh, man.
It goes everywhere, all over his shirt, all over the counter, pooling onto the floor. It is, to pull a specific word from our source's vocabulary corner, a complete disaster.
And disaster is the perfect word here, conveying not just a mistake, but a catastrophic failure of the intended outcome.
Yeah, it's something that goes very wrong.
It's a word that carries significant emotional weight.
And who is standing there witnessing this catastrophe? The barista. Which, as the source points out, is the person making the coffee, a word derived from Italian, by the way.
They really are the frontline workers witnessing these daily linguistic and physical
We
disasters.
truly are. Now, we need to talk about the emotional trajectory here because the source material tracks Jack's feelings with 3 specific vocabulary words: confidently, recover, and embarrassing.
The holy trinity of making a mistake in public.
Exactly. Let's break those down. When Jack first made the I wants mistake, he didn't shrink away. He acted confidently.
He was feeling and appearing sure of himself.
Right. He puffed up his chest. And doing something wrong confidently changes the entire energy of the mistake. It makes it so much worse when the floor finally falls out from under you.
Because the higher the confidence, the harder it is to recover, which is our next crucial concept.
Recover meaning to get back to normal after a problem.
Exactly. Recovery in a second language isn't just about fixing the grammar, it's about repairing the social dynamic. Jack tried to recover by inventing the ghost friend, which was a tactical error.
A massive tactical error, which led directly to the final emotional state, embarrassing.
Making you feel shy, awkward, or ashamed.
He is standing there dripping with hot coffee, the illusion of his confidence entirely shattered. But our source material actually provides a lifeline here.
Yes, the survival phrases.
It gives us 5 real-life practical phrases that Jack should have used. These are the tactical retreats you can use when your brain freezes in a coffee shop.
The emergency protocols. Let's hear them.
Okay, let's weave through them. Number 1, if you want to keep it totally safe and polite, you establish your baseline with, I'd like a large coffee, please.
Very standard, polite ordering.
Number 2, if you need to navigate the menu without committing right away, you use the helper verbs we just talked about. Does this come with milk?
Asking about options. Perfect.
Number 3, checking availability. Do you have oat milk? And number 4, if you want to assert your habits, you say, I usually order a latte.
Notice how highly functional those are. They don't require you to be clever or confident. They just require you to transmit basic facts.
But the fifth phrase is the one that fascinates me. Let's say you are standing there, you're completely flustered, the S rules are swimming in your head, the barista is staring at you, and you just want to eject from the interaction entirely.
A total system overload.
Right. The source gives us this brilliant escape hatch when you can't decide, it doesn't matter, surprise me. Given Jack's panic, isn't that phrase the ultimate linguistic ripcord? You just throw your hands up, surrender the decision to the barista, and avoid the grammar trap altogether.
I agree. It is a phenomenal strategic retreat. It shifts the entire burden of the interaction onto the other person. But here's the truly brilliant irony of that escape hatch.
What's that?
You think you're avoiding the grammar trap, but you aren't.
Wait, really?
Look closely at the phrase, "it doesn't matter." What is that?
Oh, wow. It's the simple present tense.
Exactly. It's a third-person singular negative. It doesn't matter.
Mind blown.
You are using the helper verb does combined with not to negate a fact about your current reality. Even when you are desperately trying to dodge making a decision, you cannot escape the operating system.
Wow.
You need the simple present to order your coffee, you need it to ask questions about the menu, and you need it to formally surrender. It is inescapable.
The grammar of giving up gracefully, you can't even wave the white flag without properly conjugating the helper verb. That is incredible.
It really emphasizes that language isn't just a tool we pick up and put down, it's the medium we exist in.
So what does this all mean? For you, the learner listening right now, let's briefly recap this incredible, chaotic journey we've been on.
Yes, let's.
We started by reframing this tense from a boring beginner rule into the literal operating system of our shared reality. We examined the basic formula-based verb versus adding the S. And we saw how the cognitive load of a coffee shop interaction causes our brains to oversteer right into the fatal trap of adding the S where it doesn't belong.
I wants,
exactly. We watched Jack spiral into an improv routine, inventing imaginary friends to demonstrate how do and does and don't and doesn't function as grammatical magnets to form questions and negatives. And finally, we emerged on the other side with practical, real-world emergency protocols for surviving a coffee shop disaster.
And hopefully we've removed some of the shame of making a mistake. Jack's disaster wasn't a failure of intelligence. It was a completely natural neurological reaction to stress.
Which brings us to your homework, pulled straight from the source material. We want you to take this out of the abstract and anchor it in your own reality.
Yeah, this is important.
Sometime today, think about 3 of your own daily habits and try describing them out loud using the simple present. I wake up at 7 a.m., I drink tea, I listen to deep dives.
Build that baseline reality in a low-stress environment.
Exactly. The more you ground the grammar in your actual daily routines, the less cognitive load it will require when you're standing in front of a pretty barista trying to remember if I takes an S.
Automate the system so it doesn't crash under pressure.
That's the goal. Now, before we wrap up, I know you had a thought about Jack's final moment in the cafe, the very last thing he says, that completely shifts how we look at this whole tense.
I do, and it's a thought I really want to leave the listener to ponder.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that climax. Jack knocks the coffee over, he ruins his shirt, he humiliates himself in front of the barista he was trying to impress.
The worst possible outcome.
Right. And in the dead silence of the cafe, dripping with latte, what does he say loudly to the entire shop? He says, "This happens every time."
Which, as we know, is an absolute lie.
It's a total lie. But structurally, it is a perfect use of the simple present to describe a regular event or habit. And this raises a really profound question about human behavior.
Well, listen.
How often do we use the habit function of the simple present tense, not to communicate factual information, but to protect our own egos?
Oh, man.
Think about the psychology of that moment. By saying, "This happens every time," Jack used grammar to normalize a disaster. He categorized a chaotic, embarrassing accident as a routine lifestyle choice.
Wow.
He used the tense that establishes facts to alter reality in real time. So the question is, do we subconsciously use our language tools to frame our most chaotic, out-of-control moments as intentional habits, just so people think we meant to do them?
Are we using the operating system of our language to edit our own reality?
Exactly.
That is absolutely brilliant. We use grammar as a shield for our ego. We turn a catastrophic glitch into a deliberate feature.
It's a fascinating defense mechanism.
It really is.
Yeah.
We step out of that safe, sterile classroom laboratory. We walk straight onto the battlefield. We step on a linguistic landmine. And as we are flying through the air,